It was a Medium article. I was on a plane, I landed, and it was just all this chaos. And there was a lot of things that weren't true. There were some things that really trigger me. That one always hurts because I think I did one of the most noble acts a human with talent can do. First hundredth of a second reaction is actually a very weird blend of you'll see and I can't wait to be gracious when you come to apologize. When I think of my 47-year-old self, I am the byproduct of two energies. I'm a successful entrepreneur, which is what the world taught me. And for the people that know, they know, especially the people that really know, they know how nice I am. You know this, you've been on, you know a lot more about me in subtle little, what I love about you is you're smart. So I know I can say this, you know.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Right?
And we've had lots of dealings over the space of 5 years.
Right?
Yeah.
In every subtle way.
Yeah.
In every subtle way. We've theoretically competed. There's been moments where I could or couldn't come, what I love about this is you know. And I've always said that when I go into the grave, so many people are gonna know me that as long as the people that actually know me feel what I want them to feel, there are people who today don't think I'm a great dude and it's off of one clip that somebody wanted to use me to do a split screen to build themselves up because they're in the business of tearing people down to build their building. And that doesn't bother me. Actually, it's one of, I actually have incredible compassion for that person.
Has it ever hurt?
Not.
So I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah,
so when I became a dragon on BBC's Dragon's Den, I was exposed to a new level of public criticism and misunderstanding, of often intentional misunderstanding. So anything you say or do, articles and different sort of sides of the political spectrum who maybe hate entrepreneurship at times, doing pieces on me, and then the backlash, and then other real sort of takedown efforts.
Yes.
And there was days where even my walls of resilience and toughness, something kept me up at night. Has that ever happened for you where?
Yeah, we're all human beings. I'm not a robot.
Yeah.
It's that it's so not sustained.
Tell me about a time when that happened. You don't have to give me the details.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
There was a kid who wrote a Medium piece about me being the face of hustle porn, which to this day lingers. And it was a Medium article. I was on a plane, I landed, and it was just all this chaos. And there was a lot of things that weren't true. I didn't inherit my dad's liquor store. I built my dad's store for him. There were some things that really trigger me. That one always hurts because I think I did one of the most noble acts a human with talent can do. I knew at 17 that I was a fucking guy. And I decided consciously that I loved my parents so much that I was gonna dedicate a decade of my youth, prime fucking years. 20 to 30 is fucking, you got time, you got energy, I gave 10 of my greatest years. They're not my wisdom years, but they're my fucking years. And I gave them to my parents. Never made over 120,000 a year, built a business from 3 to 65 million, left with nothing. Started Vaynermedia in Mike Lazaro's conference room at Buddy Media at 34 years old because I had no fucking money. I'm proud of that. So when you can imagine when somebody writes a hit piece and says, you can't listen to this guy, he inherited his dad's liquor store, that hurts.
When you say hurts, what are the symptoms of that hurt for you?
Oh, you're gonna love this, because this is why it's not sustainable. I'm neutral at all times. Gary, you're the GOAT, thank you. Gary, you're shit, I understand. Why does it hurt? I know that there is millions of 15 to 25-year-olds, 30 to 60-year-olds, 61 to 90-year-olds right now who've decided not to consume my message because one person who's hurting decided to build themselves up by targeting me because of the platform I'm on, and that disappoints me more than anything. As someone who is deeply, deeply, deeply driven by leaving the impact at the highest levels that he is capable of out of the guilt and gratitude of winning the DNA and environment game, the elimination of opportunity to help make the world more about love in lieu of someone reinforcing their beliefs of living the world of dark and hate is crushing for me philosophically. But the reason it's not sustained, Steve, is my number one fan on earth, outside of my family, whoever that is, Sally Pants McGee, and my number one person that hates me the most, thinks that the whole thing is the worst, can't wait till I die, I equally feel the same about it. 0.
On that day, you land from that plane, you see the, I don't know, Twitter or whatever's blowing up and all these people are saying those things. If I was sat next to you,
yes,
what would I have observed?
Hey, this is too big to not address in a world where 99.9 things I won't address. I want to at least create clarity because it's gone too viral in a world that I admire. The readers of Medium are my contemporaries, my friends, people I admire. And so I just didn't want 6 or 7 things that weren't true to be the foundation of a hypothesis, especially when you go read Crush It, which is my coming out moment. It doesn't talk about making money and buying a yacht. When it talks about working hard at night, it was under the context of the 2008 recession, people losing their jobs, and me saying, hey, I don't know if you know this, but the internet's getting mature, and if you go on YouTube and Twitter, you might be able to fix this shortcoming you have. And yes, I understand that some of you are also equally, it's not just about getting a new job or getting a job, it's also, oh my God, because this was insane to me because I was just coming out to the world now. I was like in my little wine library bubble. I'm like, people don't like their jobs? Like that was like, I loved it so much. Even if I was doing it for I loved it so much that I was taken aback by that. I was like, well, if you don't like being an accountant and you love Star Trek, start making Star Trek videos. I mean, it's insane what TikTok and Instagram and YouTube have created. You go read Crush It, which I wrote in 2008, it's insane how much of that became true, even to me.
You know why I think I'm asking this question and I keep persisting on this topic is because I've always seen the way that you've publicly responded in those moments, and it's always been with an unbelievable level of gratitude and empathy. And so as someone who's been on the receiving end of it,
it's hard.
It's hard. So
it's just, you know, I'm sorry, finish your thought.
I was going to say, so I've always wondered from afar, as someone who's been on the receiving end of it, what goes on as the first, you know, like the first reaction we have to these things where you're like pissed?
Yeah, I mean, the first 100th of a second reaction is actually a very weird blend of you'll see and I can't wait to be gracious when you come to apologize.
And I've had moments like that where the story or whatever will just stay on my mind and it will rattle over. And it might rattle over for like 6, 7 hours, 8 hours. It might rattle over at nighttime that night. It might even rattle over the next morning. Does that happen to you too?
It's very rare for it to be able to get to the second day, that next morning. Very rare. I just go deep into the fucking Gary cave of, okay, this person I admire just took a shit on me. This influencer decided to shit on me. And I'm not talking about the comedians who I love. The comedian stuff is like awesome because I'm like, I just did Dylan's podcast and I said it. I'm like, that I'm like humbled by. Like actual good comedians. Forget about the people that impersonate me and have built not their careers because they impersonate others, but like a couple of these characters have really benefited from impersonating me, and that means so much to me that VCon was my crowning event. And the first people that hit stage were impersonators of me. There's no bigger cosign I can give to like, that feels amazing that somebody's winning. The thought that somebody's winning in their comedic career because they popped by impersonating me, that's like the most humbling feeling of all time. Not when people take shots at me and like hyperbolize what I'm saying for a laugh. I'm flattered by them. I'm talking about people that really are like, fuck this dude. He's bad. And it's so bad how they do it. It's so very out of context and things of that nature. It just doesn't register. If I'm hurt by midnight as I close my eyes, and then the first thing I do when I close those eyes and the first thing I do when I open those eyes, I say to myself, okay, the world, all 8 billion people have decided to go on social media and say, actually, I'm a piece of shit. Is that better or worse than my parents dying in a car crash right now on the way to the airport? I'd much rather have all 8 billion people go on social media right now and say I suck than that to happen. Thus, I can't be upset about this in a real way.
There's bigger problems.
There's bigger problems.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.